I did a 1 week experiment to see for myself if the strategist role is as bad as support players make it out to be. The goal was to hit plat in the span of a week. While this isn't an incredibly impressive rank, I didn't want to spend too much time away from grinding on my main account and was only looking to get a feel for the strategist role and felt this would provide me with an ample amount of games to form an overall opinion. The character I primarily played was Luna Snow, and whenever she was taken or banned for whatever reason, I would play Rocket. I picked Luna because I really enjoy using her, and her kit is really well made, and I know she's pretty good in the meta right now. Also, I wasn't too bad at hitting her snowball, and even managed to cancel a few ultimates here and there with it. My initial expectation was that I would start to struggle with games at around gold. Bronze and silver, you're matched up with people who are probably still learning how to play the game, so if you have any significant amount of playtime in the game already, then you should never really struggle at these ranks. Due to the fact that I'm on a role that I've never played before, I knew that there was going to be a learning curve when it comes to playing support. Despite that, I was right. I got to gold without much struggle, and then I got into this game. You see this Iron Fist? This is Boom, and he's a random that I just queued into. We both don't know each other, but we have one thing in common, and it was our mutual hatred for our Moon Knight this game. You see, the enemy had an Iron Man, and to be quite honest, he was the only one really causing us any problems. Moon Knight throws projectiles, so it's much easier for Iron Man to dodge them, as opposed to a Hela or a Punisher who are hit scan. I, on numerous occasions, as the support of the team, would get Iron Man to about half HP, but there would never be any follow-up. Boom was on Iron Fist and was doing really well just living in the enemy backline, so we wouldn't want him to swap. We just needed the Moon Knight to swap to mitigate Iron Man's pressure. He refused. Instead, one of our tanks had to swap off to a third DPS to help. Despite that, Boom went on to carry our team in this game, but it was not enough. The game ended in a 3-3 draw, and many unpleasant words were exchanged by the end. Games like this will happen. It's just important to brush it off and don't let it tilt you, and just go next. At the end, since I saw that Boom did really well, I asked him if he wanted to queue together. He said sure. This is where I want to share with you the importance of having friends to play with. If you're like me and don't really have many friends to play ranked with, soloing can be a miserable experience. You're put into a match with 9 random people every time, with the possibility of a single person's bad performance being the reason your team just loses. Having someone to queue with lowers the number of random variables, and if you guys really know how to work together, you can sometimes carry an underperforming team. By the way, if you think you aren't that good enough at the game that others wouldn't want to play with you, that's fine, and it's actually completely normal. It's how I felt to start. No one wants to be the anchor dragging the team down, but my best advice for you is get to the point of consistently not being the reason your team is losing. Then, if you have a good match and you see someone else on the team have a good match, send them an invite, see if they want to join. Personally, I've met and played with several people doing this on this account, and on my main, the squad that I normally queue up rank with are 2 people that I just met when I was solo queuing. After adding Boom, we played for about 3.5 hours, and at the end, our record was 8 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws. The first draw was the game I met him in, and the second draw was a match that in my 400 plus hours of playing, I have still only seen happen once. On the map Central Park, we started on defense, and we started off well. Really well. So well that we actually completely shut out the enemy and they didn't even score a tick on the point. It felt like a 1 game at that point. Surely we could just score a single tick on the point in 4 minutes against a team we were already dominating. Well, we didn't. And if you're curious as to what happens when 2 teams don't score at all in the first 2 rounds, it ends in a draw. No third round, no overtime, just a draw. In all of our other matches, if the team wasn't completely throwing, we were pretty much performing really well, and our losses were small and our wins were big. Each time we won, it would be about 30 plus points. And it only took us 8 wins to go from gold 3 to plat 3. I gave myself a week for this challenge, and I only completed it in 3 days, with what I thought was going to be the hardest part of the challenge, going from gold to plat, only taking a few hours to do. Something felt weird. Boom was good. Like really good at the game, but he was only level 20. The minimum level to play ranked was 15. How is it that this guy had just unlocked ranked and was not only performing well, but carrying all of our game? There were only 2 possible explanations. Either this was his Smurf account, which is very common in every competitive game ever, or he was a previous Overwatch player. The only reason I list Overwatch instead of Valorant or Apex is because there's always a transitionary period when moving from one shooter to another. And it's my belief that Overwatch players generally have like the best aim, which is a fundamental skill to any shooter, so it allows them to pick up any other shooters with ease. So I asked Boom, is this your Smurf account? And he told me this was his DPS account and that he was a support main at a higher rank. He didn't say which rank though, but I'll get back to this later. Since I completed this in just 3 days, you're probably going to assume I'm going to say that support is the easiest role to climb. You're right and you're wrong. Let me explain. Many of the support characters are not difficult to pick up and play. They don't require much, if any, mechanical skill to perform their tasks of healing, but support players are high value kills, which means that they're often targeted repeatedly throughout the course of a fight, and without your ultimate, surviving can prove to be brutal. Most support characters don't really have great tools to deal with enemies who manage to get on top of them, aside from a single ability and their ultimate. Even in games where we were winning, I sometimes felt helpless, as the other team had a diver and they completely focused me and I felt like I could do nothing as I was sent to the death screen over and over. See, support abilities are often the difference maker between completely winning or losing a fight. Dying means that you are not gaining charge on your ultimate, and as you climb higher in rank, players become better at punishing poor positioning. To be quite honest, this was my weakest aspect as a support player, and it's something I'm going to be working on going forward whenever I play this role. Another thing that's a little bit difficult but a little bit invisible to players in other roles is that support players have to understand when they have to use their ultimate. Now this might seem like a given, but the answer is not always clear. This is a game sense requirement that separates an average support player from a really great support player, and it kind of gets overlooked by other players on the team. They only pay attention to the fact that you ulted, but not when and how you decided to use your ult. Sometimes staggering a Luna ult by 1 or 2 seconds could be what's needed to win a very close fight. This type of decision making can only be gained through hours and hours of experience. So the last thing I'll say is support players also receive the least amount of help. I realized this even as a DPS player, so I knew what I was getting myself into when I started this. I just didn't realize how bad it was. But this is a point that has been beaten down by every strategist main at this point. I'm not gonna go into it too much. Even the developers made a blog post saying that players need to get better at helping our support players, which is kind of based but ridiculous as well. The key takeaways I want to leave you is this. Support is an easy role to jump into, but it's not an easy role to play. Support players have to go through a lot to be a good healer throughout a match, especially if the other team is running dive. So make it a priority to help your strategist. The last thing I'll say, and it's something I mentioned earlier, and it goes for anybody solo queuing, just don't. If you have a game where you're playing tank, DPS, whatever, and you have someone on the team matching you in terms of playstyle or even their vibe is good, just don't be afraid to add them after the game. In other competitives I've played alone, and it's miserable. When you win, you have nobody to celebrate with. And if you lose, you have nobody to laugh it off with. It's a lose-lose. When Rivals came out, I told myself I didn't want to play alone anymore. So I added people that played well in my matches, and now I have a handful of people that I can queue with regularly. Winning feels better with people, and losing doesn't feel nearly as bad when you're not alone. It's also important to note that you don't even have to be on voice comms to do this. I use voice comms because it's my preferred method of communicating, but I've queued with people who only ever typed and I've never once heard their voice. Just take it from me, do your best to make friends in this game. It'll go a long way. God, this video took way too long to make. I need to stop getting lazy and procrastinating when writing these, and I definitely should have got this out about like a week and a half ago. We'll get better at this slowly but surely. It's a process. Oh, and about Boom's rank. So 2 days after we hit Plat 3 together, I logged in and saw that he had skyrocketed all the way to GM2. My mouth hit the floor. Who the hell was this guy? He wasn't online, so I couldn't really ask. The very next day though, he was Celestial 3, just outside the top 500. I wish I had a screenshot to show you, but you gotta just trust me. And it gets even crazier than this, because at the time of me writing this, currently he's rank 185 on the leaderboard. And this is his match history. Not only that, he has another account in the top 500. This guy's a beast. Really, special shout out to Boom for playing with me. Hopefully I can get high enough rank to be able to play with him again one day in the future. But yeah, this guy was crazy. This has been my experience playing support, and yeah, thanks for watching.